Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. We got a big show for you guys. This is the WrestleMania Rundown Show. We're going to give you WrestleMania predictions. We're going to give you Supercard of Honor predictions. We're going to give you GCW Spring Break predictions. We're going to be reviewing the main event of UFC Columbus. We're going to be running down the finals and the final, or semifinals and the final, I guess you would say, of the New Japan Cup. Still no Cody on Raw. Vince just grants Rollins a match at WrestleMania. I don't know why they didn't do that before, but let's talk about it. Let's run it into the ground a little bit more. Will Smith and Chris Rock. Chris Rock is not the same weight class as Will Smith. So for him to jump up on there, it's kind of shitty because he towers over this man. And, obviously, we got a heavyweight and a phantom weight, a featherweight out there. He had to Will Smith had to spend his speech for winning Best Actor in the Oscars, which should be a culmination of a 30-year career, kind of apologizing or bringing up the fact that he, slapped the guy for his wife, whatever. This is coming off the heels of, I think, last year or maybe 18 months ago, his wife admitting to cheating on him. So this is all wild stuff here. How the fuck did he not get kicked out after jumping on stage and slapping a performer? How did he even get to the point where he was able to accept his award? This is ridiculous. It looks like a work, to be honest with you. You don't ever really see an impact. I mean, we're going to be talking about pro wrestling. We're going to be talking about UFC. We're going to be talking about a lot of combat sports, sports entertainment, pro wrestling, whatever you want to call it. And you can kind of tell the difference between a work slap and a real slap if you watch all that stuff. And there was no point of impact. There was no sound, even though Chris Rock was mic'd up right on his collarbone, and he got slapped on his cheek, so that would usually pick it up. But there was no pickup, and then it was just such a smooth follow-through and everything. It looks like he was a professional fighter, but he's not. These are two professional actors. That's why I think the whole thing is a work. This didn't stop Jake Paul, of course, the guy who jumps on the podcast every week, it seems like, always creating news. Best heel in the business today. Jake Paul claims that he wants to pay both of them $15 million to box. I would love to see that. I don't think it's going to happen unless it's going to charity. Maybe they could set it up for Ukraine relief or something like that, but I do not think these two guys would box. P. Diddy was out there calming the tension. Denzel Washington, Tyler Perry, all out there calming the tension of the event, apparently. But hey, a little bit of pro wrestling on the Oscars. That's not the only pro wrestling. I think Dune won a few awards, and Dune, of course, featuring Dave Bautista. So wrestling is everywhere, folks. You can watch the Oscars. You can watch, Showtime boxing. You can watch UFC. You can watch, American politics. You can see pro wrestling everywhere. And this Will Smith, Chris Rock thing was a reminder of that. But jumping over outside of the world of pro wrestling, over to MMA, combat sports, UFC Columbus. Going over just the main event, Curtis Blaydes versus Chris Ducas. See, I started reviewing every single UFC main event because I want to get to know these guys before they're at the title match. Because being a fan of pro wrestling as well, I want to get hooked on the storyline of this. So right now, the storyline of this was Curtis Blaydes is a badass. Curtis Blaydes has the most takedown victories out of anyone in the heavyweight division in UFC right now, and he faces Chris Ducas, who is really an afterthought in this match. First round, the two men have hesitant hands, I would say, in the first half of the first round. Ducas ends up bleeding from the eye. Herb Dean calls it for a second. He's okay. It was an accidental thumb to the eye. Holy shit, that would hurt, by Curtis Blaydes. Second round start, Blaydes just lands one like 2 seconds in, knocks him out. Ref Herb Dean calls it Curtis Razor Blaydes KO. The guy with the most takedowns wins by a knockout, which was cool, showed a little versatility. And now he's ranked 4th in the heavyweight division. he is no one to play with. He says he wants gone. Stipe Miocic in the crowd. Blaydes sees him. He starts leaving. Stipe starts leaving. Like, he wants to go. I guess he's hungry, or he wants to go back to the hotel or something. He's walking away. The camera's trying to film him. And it says, he said, I want to be just like you, Stipe, but I may have to beat you, which is a really good line. I feel like, that's something that could be said in Star Wars or something like that. So look out for Curtis Razor Blaydes in the UFC. He's moving up the heavyweight ranks. Someone else moving up the ranks in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We'll get to that later. We're going to go through the semifinals right now. Zack Saber Jr. versus Shingo Takagi. Of course, Shingo Takagi, former champion. Zack Saber Jr., former New Japan Cup champion, the tournament that they're in the semifinals for. Zack going after the neck, and then later on going after the arm of Shingo. Shingo not giving up but hurting. He did manage to hit a big superplex off the top. Made in Japan, 1-2. Zack kicks out. Bitch slap battle for the ages. Zack just chokes him out. Ref calls for it. Zack moves on to the finals. And then we have Nido versus Okada. This rivalry has been amazing over the years, but I don't think this match lived up to past matches and lived up to the hype of the semifinals of a New Japan Cup here. Okada hits a DDT to the floor. Nido gets in the ring at 17 count. Nido goes after the knee in the inside and then on the outside. Okada gets in the ring at a 15 count. Okada hits an elbow at the 15-minute mark. Destino 1-2. Okada kicks out, but Nido ends up hitting a Polo de Estema, which is pretty much just a really cool version of a roll-up. And this match kind of brought me back to Jim Cornette's opinion on the Young Bucks versus the Private Party tag team tournament match in 2019 in AEW, where Private Party beat the Bucks, but the Bucks did kick out of their finisher, and he said that that's used to be something that Hulk Hogan used to do, where, in the fans' eyes, you kicked out of their finisher and then the guy got lucky. It really doesn't put you over them, so to speak. It has you win the match, but you don't really go over in a certain context. And I think that might be what happened here. Okada, it definitely wasn't the Okada epic we've come to know and love. And maybe he didn't want to kind of give it to Nido, just full on lose to Nido here. Or maybe they wanted to set up Nido getting lucky. I'm not sure what the deal was here. But nonetheless, we have a Zack Saber Jr. versus Nido final, the 2016 champion versus the 2018 champion. Match was great in the early going here. Rear naked choke from Zack. Valencia from Nido. Zack counters the Destino, but Nido ends up hitting a Destino in the second attempt. 1-2. Zack kicks out of the Destino. Zack hits a Zack driver 1-2. Nido kicks out of that. 20-minute mark. Pin attempt after pin attempt. No one can keep the other one down. PK 1-2. Nido kicks out. DDT from Zack. He doesn't let go. He brings Nido up by his neck. Hits a Zack driver. 1, 2, 3. Zack wins. Much like Curtis Blaydes, he wins in a fashion he's not used to winning in. He doesn't submit Nido. He pins Nido. This is the second New Japan Cup for Zack Saber Jr., one of my favorites. This guy should be elevated here. He should go on a run that leads him strong into the G1. He's been there for years. This is, the second New Japan Cup, held the tag titles. I think that you can really have, you can main event with this guy. Nido showed it right here. You can main event with this guy. And if you push him strong, you can bring him, I think, into Wrestle Kingdom at this point. Very unique look, very unique style. Still a strong style, but definitely a techer. He said it, the soy boy did it again. The guy with a vegan diet wins the New Japan Cup for the second time. But of course, UFC Columbus, New Japan Cup, those are all really, really cool stuff to talk about. Really good events, but it's not the granddaddy of them all. It's not the showcase of the Immortals. It is not Wrestlemania. And I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions here. My level of excitement for Wrestlemania, the big day, or the big weekend, I should say, it's like a 7. I'm excited to see the spectacle. I'm excited to see the stage and everything. I'm excited to see the glitz and the glamour of it. But the matches here leave me a lot to be desired for the most part. But let's jump into it. A match announced on Monday Night Raw, the Go Home Raw. Almas versus Lashley. I don't like this because you're either going to have Lashley lose on his first match back, or you're going to kill what you've built with Almas over the last few months and what AJ Styles has done with him. You could just have a DQ, but then that would be kind of a boner killer at WrestleMania. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe MVP turns on Lashley, and now you have Almas with the mouthpiece. I think that would be a cool prediction or fantasy booking here. But let's not forget about Stone Cold Steve Austin on the KO show. I think Stone Cold is going to take a stunner. I think KO will leave him laying. The crowd will go home happy after the amazing entrance. And I think that this isn't all you're going to hear from Stone Cold this year. So I think maybe Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens headlines a Saudi Arabia show, or maybe even a SummerSlam. And I think we're going to get an actual match. But this right here, WrestleMania, I think it's going to be the KO standing tall against Stone Cold Steve Austin, getting all the heat in the world in Texas. Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Ronda did not come back to take an L. I may not like her, but I think she's winning at Mania. Edge versus AJ Styles. The Steamboat Savage of the 2-day event here, it looks like. I think they need to give AJ the win here. He really hasn't had a big WrestleMania victory that I can think of. I mean, Shane O'Mac isn't really that big. That's more of a spectacle showcase. He lost. He got buried alive at the Undertaker. He got low blowed by Nakamura. He is a little younger than Edge, so just give it to AJ here. That's what I think. And then you got the Usos versus Boogs and Nakamura. I mean, how cool would it be, Boogs, Nakamura, the big entrance, and then them winning the titles, the big celebration here. This could be a real quick match, real fun match, and the Usos don't really need the tag titles. They need to just be lackeys for Roman Reigns. So they can have the titles, they can lose the titles. It really doesn't hurt them at this point, but it would make, I think, Boogs and Nakamura a fan favorite of this year in WWE, 2021 in WWE. Drew versus Corbin. I mean, Drew wins here. This will be deep into the card and be a quick match for just to wake the crowd up, I think. Miz and Logan Paul versus the Mysterios. I can see this going on past WrestleMania. I think Logan Paul likes being a part of the WWE, and I think they can bring this to a Saudi show maybe, or I think they can maybe bring this to WrestleMania Backlash. So therefore, I think the celebrity is going over at WrestleMania. I think Logan Paul is going to win. Maybe The Miz does something underhanded, tags Logan Paul in. Logan Paul just gets the cheap victory just to get a little heat. So I can see a lot of these celebrities winning, and I think it's going to start with Logan Paul beating Rey Mysterio, unfortunately. But, you guys know how much I love people hating the Paul brothers. So maybe that's fogging up my brain here. Maybe the Mysterios got this. They are on the cover of the video game. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. This might be the Steamboat Savage of the whole, 2-night event. WWE needs to realistically put Bianca over. They did it last year with Sasha Banks, but they did their best to try to let us forget about that throughout the course of the year with Becky Lynch coming back at SummerSlam and beating Bianca in a few seconds. So therefore, I think Bianca needs to win again at WrestleMania, solidifying herself as one of the top faces in the women's division, beating Becky Lynch, beating the man at WrestleMania, and sending her off, it looks like, hairless and titleless. That's what I think. RK Bro versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. WrestleMania is about showcasing stars. And if RK Bro didn't already break up, don't do it at WrestleMania. Do it after WrestleMania. Send the crowd home happy. Give RK Bro the victory. Let him retain. Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. I know I said celebrities aren't going to lose, but this is the one celebrity you can have lose, and it won't hurt him because he's, known for doing these big stunts. You can do a big stunt with him, and then that could lead to him being knocked out and not being able to continue, and then Sami Zayn gets the victory for doing something so dastardly, so maniacal. So then you can kind of help both guys out here by having Sami Zayn get the victory here. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. Like I said, celebrities ain't losing unless you're Johnny Knoxville. Pat McAfee gets the victory here, and that leads to Vince coming out pissed at Theory. We'll get the Vince entrance. We'll get the Vince walk. We'll get him yelling at Austin Theory, and then we'll go on to Raw where we see the outcome of his disdain for Austin Theory losing the match. Women's tag match, I'm going Sasha and Naomi, probably because I'm a Sasha mark and I don't really give a shit about this match. And then we got Roman versus Brock Lesnar, the match that we've all come to see. I don't know, a lot of people that seem to be WWE fans don't seem to be happy for this WrestleMania match, where I don't watch week to week usually. I just watch the big shows. I keep up with it on Twitter and podcasts and everything like that. But I'm excited about this match here. I think you got to have Roman win here. WrestleMania 31 when it was Brock versus Roman, Seth cashed in. WrestleMania 34 when it was Brock versus Roman, Brock won. So right now we can do WrestleMania, where are we at now, 37, and have Roman Reigns win, which would mean we're going to have a bit of a rubber match here at WrestleMania. I can see them, WrestleMania 38 or WrestleMania 40. Oh, wait, we're at WrestleMania 38 now, right? Because 35 was New York, 36 was Performance Center, 37 was Tampa. So this is 38. So I can see WrestleMania 39 or 40 being Brock and Roman again, though epic rubber match, the 9 years in the making rubber match. But we're jumping ahead here. We're booking 2-3 WrestleManias ahead, and I'm thinking Roman's going to win this one here. And Brock maybe goes away for a while, and then we get happy-go-lucky Brock again around SummerSlam. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. But of course, WrestleMania is such a spectacle that it's kind of created, smaller shows over the years throughout it. And of course, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor was the first pre-WrestleMania weekend show. And of course, ROH has been making headlines here this year, kind of folding as a company, Tony Khan buying it. So this was supposed to be one of the last Ring of Honor shows ever, and now it became one of the first Ring of Honor shows with Tony Khan as the booker. And you can kind of see Tony Khan's booking, throughout here with the guys he selected to wrestle on this show. I heard a lot of rumors about some matches that will take place on this show, but according to Wikipedia, these are the matches, so that's what I'm going to run down here. We have Mercedes Martinez versus Willow Nightingale. I'm not a fan of Willow. I'll just say it right now. And since I think this is kind of an AEW show now, I do think Mercedes Martinez needs a win in AEW, or in the AEW realm, because her most notable match is losing to Thunder Rosa and kind of being a lackey for Britt Baker. And I think that you could do more with Mercedes Martinez. So I would say Mercedes Martinez is going to get the victory here. You got Josh the Goods Woods versus Wheeler Yuta. I think Josh the Goods Woods wins, and then I think we're going to get another promo with Regal. So Josh wins, goes to the back, and then the real point of interest of note here in this match is going to be Regal coming out, slapping Yuta, maybe Trent getting mad at that, and then we get a match going on there between Trent and Wheeler with interest from Regal. Jay Lethal versus Lee Moriarty. Jay Lethal wins. It's Ring of Honor. Let's not forget it. You got us in the crowd home happy. Ring of Honor legend. It's going to be a great match, though. Swerve versus Alex Zane. This match will try to steal the show, but end up being kind of sloppy. That's my prediction for this match. Swerve wins. Briscoes versus FTR. This is the match I'm most excited for out of any show that I'm going to be able to watch this weekend. I really do not know who is going to win, but I want to say, since it's a Ring of Honor show, you got to keep morale high with this new era of Ring of Honor, and you got to have the Briscoes get the victory here. Gresham versus Bandito, the other champion versus champion match of the weekend. I think Gresham will win. Gresham came of age in Ring of Honor, embodies what Ring of Honor represents in the wrestling landscape, and I think you got to put the title on Gresham here. And, maybe have him just tour the Indies like he's doing, just holding that title with prestige up high. I love Gresham, man. I think he's going to get the victory here. But that's not the only show. We're going to be talking about GCW Spring Break Night 1, Night 2. So those are the matches those are the shows I'm going to review. I'm going to be watching AW Dynamite. Then I'm going to be watching Spring Break Night 1. I'm going to be watching Supercard of Honor. Then I'm going to be watching AW Rampage. I'm going to talk about all that. And then I'll watch WrestleMania, Spring Break Night 2, WrestleMania Night 2, and then I'm going to be talking about all of that, guys. So look out for 2 big WrestleMania week curtain jerkins. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, guys. Let's go through the Spring Break predictions, Night 1 and Night 2. I want these shows to do what they should have done in the Hammerstein Ballroom. I want them to put over GCW staples. I want to see the guys that I watched throughout the pandemic and throughout the last year or two when GCW is on this big rise get some victories, because those are the guys that are probably maybe still going to be there if you get bigger, and those are the guys that the fans like. AR Fox versus Blake Christian. I love Fox, but I think Christian's got this one. Alex Colon versus John Wayne Murdoch. I think John Wayne Murdoch is a bigger name across all of the deathmatch circuit, but I think Alex Colon is a bigger name within GCW. I mean, he's got the Jordan jersey, and he's going to be smacking people with light tubes. I think Alex Colon's got this one. Tag title match. This is the match I'm most excited for on Spring Break, both nights. I think there's no way Nick Gage is losing at Spring Break, so Nick Gage and Matt Tremont will win this match. Mickey James versus Alley Catch. They need to give Alley Catch this victory, especially after the bullshit that happened at Hammerstein. They cut the match real short, and then they had Ruby Soho win for no reason at all. Ruby Soho, I don't think, has been back in GCW since. X-Pac versus Joey Janela. You gotta have Joey Janela win. This is his show. It used to be called the Joey Janela Spring Break. And they also have Joey Janela just recently switch over to heel. So you got to put this new character over. You got to put the new Joey Janela over. And, I mean, like I said, you got to put over these GCW stables, unlike they did in the Hammerstein Ballroom. So I think Joey Janela wins this one. Then you have Moxley versus AJ Gray. This is a shocker to me. I'm surprised AJ Gray got this big of a push. I know I've been saying you got to put over GCW staples, so I wouldn't mind seeing AJ Gray win, but I think Mox is going to win here. I do think that a lot of people who don't usually watch GCW are going to buy tickets to see Moxley. You know, he's got the WWE rub, he's got the AEW rub, he's got New Japan rub, and here he is in GCW on the biggest wrestling weekend of the year. I think he's the biggest draw. So, and maybe you're going to do something with him and Nick Gage or what, I'm not sure. But I do think that Moxley's going to win this one. I know I said that you got to put over GCW staples, but that's for the rest of the show. This one is going to Moxley, and he's a bit of a GCW staple here now. He's world champ. You got night 2. You got the clusterfuck. The match that's always fun to watch, impossible to predict, and extremely hard to review. But I'm going to try to give you some highlights. You also have PCO versus Mike Bailey. I love this. PCO, I feel like Spring Break kind of rejuvenated his career into, now he's on Impact. He was, Ring of Honor champion. And you got to trace that resurgence of his career back to GCW Spring Break. So, maybe we're going to see PCO win. I mean, I do think maybe there might be some respect to Canadian on Canadian respect here, to where they're going to put over the younger guy, Mike Bailey. That's where I'm going, but it's going to be hard to call this one. Biff Busick versus Tony Deppen. This might be the Steamboat Savage of Spring Break here. Deppen will win because, like I said, they need to put over the GCW staples, but I think he's going to win in such a way that reminds everyone that he's a dickhead, so we don't feel good for this victory. That's my opinion. And then we have Cardona versus Dickinson. I think Cardona will win. He's a GCW staple at this point. They're going to get super heat on Cardona to the point where Dickinson's going to want to face him and get his revenge throughout the course of 2022. So you're going to get a lot of heat on Deppen. You're going to get a lot of heat on Cardona, and that goes into Suzuki versus Effie. Effie will win this one unless Jarrett shows up and hits him with a guitar or something like that. That would be the most ridiculous outcome of a wrestling match ever. Jeff Jarrett helping Minoru Suzuki win. But no, I think Effie will beat Suzuki, and they're going to send the crowd home happy. Late into the evening, Saturday evening, everyone's singing Elton John while Effie celebrates standing tall over Suzuki is my prediction for Night 2 of GCW Spring Break. Whew, those are a lot of prediction, guys. I hope you're still with me. I hope you're following. I'm getting excited about this weekend. It's going to be a lot of wrestling. I'm excited about all the wrestling on the Oscars. I'm excited about Zack Saber Jr. winning the New Japan Cup for the second time. I'm excited for Curtis Razor Blaydes. Let's see what he does in the ranks of UFC. As always, guys, fly high. I'm out.